It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha! Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Happy Tuesday evening to everybody. Marshall Wood and Dale McKee, Brouhaha style. How you doing, Dale?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at your sideline view, and I watched some of the Masters. You started off with talking about the Masters. Mm-hmm. I watched some of the Masters. I always enjoyed watching that. The scenery's beautiful, and watching golf on TV. A lot of people don't get it, but to me, that's about as a relaxing thing as you can do. I mean, for me, I just chill out. I'll kind of watch it with one eye open, one eye closed, but I got to see it. Great another win for old Scotty. He got the second one in 3 years.
Yeah, and just reading some posts about Scotty. I didn't know much about him, but I'm a fan of his now.
Yeah. I haven't followed golf a lot as of late. That's probably the first Masters I've watched. I probably missed it last year. I usually don't. But, he and Tiger, bless his heart, you wrote about this. That's the worst he'd ever done. What was he, 60? What was it?
Finished 60th.
60th?
That was last place.
Yeah. That's as low as it goes.
But in defense of Tiger, that was the first tournament like in 5 years that he's actually completed.
Yeah, so he's getting there.
And he does have, his stamina's not there. And they were worried early in the week if they had to do 36 rounds, if he would last. Yeah. If they had rain and had to play 36 rounds one day, that would probably be a killer for him.
Mentioning Scotty and Tiger, they're the only two guys that they share something that no two other guys have done, and that is they have both won the Players' Championship and the Masters in the same year. No other two golfers have ever done that.
Well, now Scotty is rated the number one player in the world.
Yeah, for 2 years.
Yeah.
But now...
And he's pretty young. He's only about, 27?
Yeah, 27. I think you're right on.
Yeah.
I think was it his wife that was not there because she was about to have a baby too?
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Mm-hmm. Man, he was zeroed in. How do you deal with all that, Dale? I've been a nervous wreck.
Well, you've been involved in this too. When you win something, and I heard him say this too, the winning lasts about 5 minutes. And then all the other stuff comes about.
Yeah.
Hey, I can play well during the tournament. I get satisfied with a win for about 5 minutes, and then I know that, hey, I have all this waiting on me right here. And of course, he had a bigger weight there. Because the birth of a child may be that may be your greatest triumph in life.
I would say so. I would say so. You covered a lot of other things.
I did.
In the sideline view, we're probably gonna, in view of the guest that I think we're having today, we're probably gonna skip over the Grove.
I like the way you say. If he answers the phone, we got him.
We're gonna talk about the Grobo, and if he don't, we're gonna talk about it on our own. But hopefully we're gonna talk with him because he probably knows a little bit more about it than us.
Well, I'd like to find out something about the Grobo myself. Did they actually play with a football, or what did they do?
I think they played with a tug of ropes and tires and basketballs and everything else. But I think they did have flag football. We'll get into that with our guest, we'll introduce shortly. Baseball, going around, the junior college baseball is kind of where I've got my focus with the local connection that we got with the Wayne Academy guys playing up there at East Central. They played Pearl River, I believe. And Pearl River, man, those two schools right there, Dale, as you said, Pearl River is 22-0 in the district, 16-4 for East Central. East Central's won 40 ball games, 44. Pearl River, is 42-5. So that's shaping up for a pretty big war for that one's over with or the season's over.
Well, they actually play tomorrow.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow, okay. Wednesday, they play a doubleheader at Pearl River.
Oh, boy.
And then Pearl River goes to Jones next week, and then they go to Northwest after that. So Northwest Pearl River's got 3 tough series coming up.
Yeah. I just realized that East Central was playing Jones last week. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they got rain delayed and had to finish up. Okay, that's good. Well, Dale, let's talk about it a minute. Who you got for our guest
We got David Johnson, and David's going to explain what he does, but he's been following Ole Miss sports for about, I would say, 7 or 8 years, and he writes for several different publications, but he got a main one. But we're going to let him tell us all about it during the show, what he does. So if you're an Ole Miss fan and you want to keep up with the Rebels, David may be your guy that you go to.
Tune in, folks. We're going to take a break and hear from our sponsor, and then I'll be back with a nice guest. Hold on there, J. Mar. We'll be with you in a minute. We'll be back in just a minute with a nice guest after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, David Johnson. David, how are you today?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. How's everything in Oxford? You had a great weekend up there, didn't you?
Yeah, great weekend. The weather's beautiful. It's Oxford. If you've ever been, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, in 2 weeks you're going to have that double-decker deal, right? Double-decker?
Yeah, that's always quite the weekend, and it won't be any different this year. But every weekend there's something going on in Oxford.
Hey, well, that's not a bad place to be on some weekends. All right, well, listen, before we get into the football, tell us about what happened on the baseball field this weekend.
Yeah, Ole Miss finally won a series from Mississippi State. If you step back and you're looking at things from 10,000 feet, you hope this is a series that can kind of energize this club. Maybe they can turn some things around. And it's kind of the halfway point of the SEC season. So, we'll see. But certainly good to win the last two over Mississippi State.
Well, I was watching, especially Saturdays and Sundays games. They kept me up past some bedtime Saturday night. But they did let me go early yesterday afternoon or Sunday afternoon for a nap. But, I was thinking back to the College World Series a couple years ago and how they made that great run. And there was always a defining moment, and you just wanted to know, would this weekend series make any difference in the rest of the year, or do they still have the weaknesses that they have, especially in the pitching?
I think it's still the same team, but what you hope comes out of this past weekend is a kind of a coming together, a marshaling, if you will, of their resources, of their talent. And I remember back to the national championship season only 2 years ago, and sitting out at Swayze one night and watching Southeast Missouri State hammer the Rebels 13-3. And, there were a lot of people that wanted to bring the curtain down on that season at that time. And lo and behold, look what happened. And, baseball is a marathon more than a sprint than any other sport. I think that's why they play 162 games in the big leagues. A team can get hot. It can find itself. And that's what you got to hope for this bunch right here is that, maybe there was some kind of impetus that happened, whether you want to bring it on blame it on the Mississippi State catcher flicking his bat at the Ole Miss dugout or what. But, hey, let's see what happens from here. Wilder things have happened. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so on both ends. I still, I was amazed in Sunday's game, and I have a lot of respect for Mississippi State baseball. And, they've got some great athletes over there. And Dakota, he just was, they just didn't hit the ball Sunday. But I thought Mason Nichols probably might have pitched maybe better than he's ever pitched up there at Ole Miss. And I think he had I think he had a little chip on his shoulder that he's never beaten the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and I think Mason had a career collegiate performance Sunday, and again, it all plays into the idea that maybe this team can bring it all together and make a little run down the stretch. It won't get any easier, but they're not dead. They're not dead in the water like many people thought they would be. And to take 2 out of 3 from Mississippi State for the first time in a long time, that's something to hang your hat on.
Okay, let's switch sports for just a minute. Let's go to football and tell us about the unusual activities in Vaught Hemingway Saturday, as far as the spring football game.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's Lane Kiffin on the cutting edge of what you're going to see more and more spring games go to. What did Lane accomplish on Saturday with the 7-on-7 format and the tug of wars and all that? A, he didn't get anybody injured. And B, and probably most importantly, he didn't show his hand on anything. So, if you've got a team with the capabilities that we all know this Ole Miss team has, why in the world would you want to get out there in the spring and show people half your playbook or even a quarter of your playbook? You wouldn't want to do it. So anybody that watched the Ole Miss spring game on Saturday, yeah, they feel like Ole Miss has got a good team coming back, but I don't think they can tell you very much about this group. And I think that was all part of Lane Kiffin's mantra going into the Grove Bowl.
I'd ask you this question. You talk about cutting down on the prospects for injuries and lots of things, not showing your hand too much. But now, is there an element of that with the transfer portal looming? I believe it opens up maybe Wednesday or tomorrow. I'm not sure, but
tomorrow.
Yeah, when it opens
tonight.
Okay, when it opens up, might that be a kind of a way to temper some of the prospects from entering the transfer portal, because they don't actually know whether they're going to probably be starting or not, do they? Or is that even a thought?
No, great point, and you're exactly right. Yeah, I mean there are other disguises in this format. And, I think that could very well be one of them. I know that is a major concern for every college coaching staff in America. Not only are they trying to recruit in better players through the high school recruiting and the transfer portal, but they've got to hold their own rosters together.
Yeah.
And, if I'm Billy Joe Clyde from Podunk, Mississippi, and I'm reading in the reports every day, I'm buried 4th on the depth chart, I may think about, hey, I might want to go somewhere else. This spring, Lane was very careful about what he wanted us to report, and and that a lot of that was regarding depth chart situations, injury situations, things like that. And there's a balance where we've got to trade off access to practice versus, what we can report. And that's exactly what we had to do this year. But, as I told some of our readers, you'd much rather go undefeated this fall than to know who the 4th team tight end is.
Yeah.
That's true. And, there's 2 other points. I don't know how major they are, but at least somebody can't get a hold of your spring football film from another school and check out what maybe hey, we need that running back right there. He looks pretty good. But the other thing is, were a lot of prospects on campus. Did they enjoy the activities during the day, you think?
Yeah, the guys I've talked to already, they did enjoy it. I mean, there were, I don't know, around 100 guys there. Obviously, I haven't talked to all of them, but everybody I have talked to, they thought this was a genius move by Lane Kiffin. I think the kids enjoyed it. Of course, they had Joey Chestnut and the hot dog eating world champion, I guess is what he's called. I honestly did not know his name before Lane invited him to the Grove Bowl. But, I think everybody had a great time. I think Ole Miss did not show itself for any opposition. And, man, I'm ready to move on into the summertime. And it'll be here before you know it, but we'll be in Dallas for SEC Media Days in July. And at that point, is Katie Barr the barn door? I mean, it's on.
Well, listen, not to give away any Ole Miss stuff, but for sure. But who are some of the top, maybe some of the recruits in Mississippi this year that are seniors in high school football that are going to be recruited probably by everybody?
Yeah, there are two that just kind of stand out above the rest. And it's a good class for the state of Mississippi. But, with those two, I'll start off with Quitman running back Kylan Deere, who's already committed to the Rebels. 24/7 Sports #1 running back in America. And, I think we could see that commitment coming from a long ways off. Kylan is exactly what this Ole Miss needs in the future. And the other guy is down in Choctaw County, Mississippi, Ackerman, if you will, Caleb Cunningham, 5-star wide receiver. Many of the early returns suggest he's going to Mississippi State. I'm not buying into that just yet. I think Caleb does plan on watching Jeff Levy's offense this fall and see what they're doing. But I think priority number one for Caleb Cunningham is going to an offense that he knows the coaching staff can develop him into an NFL player. And, the last time I talked to Caleb, and it's been about a month ago, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, I can't tell you the last time Mississippi State put a wide receiver into the NFL. Well, I can sure heck tell you the last time Ole Miss did, and the time before, and the time before, and the time before. Two of the best wide receivers in the NFL, A.J. Brown and D.K. Metcalf, are both former Ole Miss Rebels. And that's not even mentioning Elijah Moore, Laquan Treadwell. He's a tight end, but Evan Ingram. If you want to play in the NFL and catch footballs, Ole Miss is not a bad choice.
That's true. Well, listen, everybody figures the offense will be in high gear the first game against Furman. But what are your thoughts on the rebuilt defense?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I really think this fall, for the first time since he's been in Oxford, Pete Golding has most of the tools he wants. And I think that's going to translate. And see, I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of national pundits are out there expecting the same old Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's going to have a high-powered offense. Defensively, they'll struggle some. I think that defense is going to have as many teeth in its mouth this year as the offense does. They're going to be a difficult task. And, guys, look at who's on staff here now. Yeah, Pete Golding's the boss man. He's the defensive coordinator, came from Alabama. But you've got Brian Brown, who is the co-DC and the cornerbacks coach, and one of the top defense coordinators in the country at Louisville and Cincinnati. He's now here on this staff. And who did they hire as an analyst? Zach Arnett, former Mississippi State head coach. And before he was the head coach at Mississippi State, Arnett was one of the highest regarded coordinators in this league. So, defensively, you're starting to see the talent influx. But, man, the brain trust on the defensive side of the ball in their staff meetings, out of this world.
I bet that Pete Golding is really thrilled to be in Oxford instead of Tuscaloosa, only because I just remember his last couple of years in Tuscaloosa, how they just used to blast him on every radio show in the South. And Pete's dad, Skip, he would get really upset in callers, So I'm sure Pete hadn't had any of that in Oxford that I know of, So
I'll tell you a little story about Pete Golding, and we go way back. I actually covered Pete Golding when he was a player at Delta State. And, he was just as, I guess, intense is the word I'm looking for back then as he is now. He wasn't the most gifted player by far, but he had the passion and the desire, and, man, he's turned that into an incredible coaching career. I know all the Ole Miss people in Oxford are so happy he's here. I know his family's happy he's here, and things worked out well for Pete. And, I think this year his Ole Miss defense is they're going to leave a little mark on some people.
Well, that's great. Well, let's just turn into the last couple minutes of the show. Just tell us how you think the men's basketball team, with this transfer portal, the NIL, and everything else that we have going on, it seems like you have to be like Big John from Kentucky that went to Arkansas, and he says, I met with the team today, and there was only one player in there. So,
yeah.
So,
well, that's just kind of what college athletics has turned into with the NIL. It is. I don't have a word to describe it.
I said it's a mess. You can use that one.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you watch those 30-on-30s, and, they did one on SMU back in the 80s, the Pony Express, Craig James, Eric Dickerson, and all that. And, some of those boosters were meeting, and they were like, okay, we're in trouble, but guys, we got a payroll to meet. Everybody's got to do that now. And I'll say this, at Ole Miss, they're so fortunate to have the Grove Collective, and it's led by Walker Jones, a former Rebel player, and it is run the correct way, the right way. And there are a lot of schools, some of them not too far from Oxford, Mississippi, that don't know how to do that yet, and they're not doing it that way. Mm-hmm. And they'll learn eventually, but it's going to be awful painful while they are learning.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about the basketball, the men's team. Let's just start with the men's team. I know they won 20 games, and that's pretty good. But it seemed like when they got in the SEC play, they just couldn't compete the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think things kind of caught up with them a little bit. The bangs and bruises of playing in any sport in the SEC, just difficult. But anytime you talk about Ole Miss men's basketball now, and it's the same with the women, you start at the top. And for the men, that's Chris Beard. And, whatever Keith Carter and Ole Miss did for Beard to steer clear of the Arkansas job, I certainly commend them. I think Lane Kiffin has shown Ole Miss that, if you want to win, you got to have a guy at the top that knows how to push the gears and pull the levers to win. And Chris Beard is that for the men's basketball team. He wasn't quite there yet this year, but they'll get there. They will definitely get there, and they'll get there sooner rather than later. It took Gillette McPhee McEwen, 4 years before she got Ole Miss as a program in the women's side as constant in the NCAA tournament. And where's she at tonight? She's in Brooklyn, New York for the WNBA draft with Marquisha Davis, who, talking to some people earlier today, they're thinking Marquisha may sneak into the first round tonight. But that's the caliber of player that McPhee McEwen has brought into her program. You're going to see that same trend with Chris Beard and the men. He's just a big name. He can walk in anybody's living room. He can convince you Oxford, Mississippi is the place. You need to play your basketball. And I expect nothing but great things for the Rebels, even greater things for them in year 2 of Chris Beard. That, what are we, 7 months away from starting a new season? And that seems crazy, but it's true.
This is Marshall again. I want to ask you a question. It's probably the last question of the night. I want to go back to the Grove Collective just for a second. Is that for all sports, or is it just for football? How does that work?
No, it's for all sports at Ole Miss, every single sport. And I think every sport is benefiting from it. I think you're seeing that in women's basketball, men's basketball. You're going to see more of it in baseball, I believe, and even softball. But no, 100%, they are for every sport at Ole Miss. And the people out there thinking about, should I give them money? Should I not? You can actually earmark your donations. to what sport or even what player you want it to go to.
Wow.
So, that's something to keep in mind if you're thinking about, aiding the Grove Collective in their efforts. And I got to tell you, in this day and age, everybody can help, everybody can pitch in. And for years and years, all I heard was, there's no way for us to help. What can we do? Well, you donate to the Grove Collective. That's what you do. And they're putting your money to great use. And but the thing of it is, it's standing out. I mean, it takes a constant stream of donations. And, again, Walker Jones is doing a wonderful job with that organization. And, kudos to everybody involved. It's, it's no accident that people are talking about Ole Miss football as a national championship contender heading into this fall.
It seems
no accident whatsoever. The Grove Collective played a major role in that. We brought in 24/7 Sports #1 transfer portal class in America this last cycle.
Yeah.
And your donations and your dollars help do that.
Well, listen, Dave, we really appreciate this. It's been a great interview. We thank you for your time. Dale's writing me a note here. Why don't you just ask him?
I was just going to ask him. I'd just like to tell you, we thank you, but I'd also like to ask you to share your information with the audience right now about how they can keep in touch with you and your Ole Miss publication.
Yeah, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Rebels247, but we're running a great special to join the site Inside the Rebels, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, starting Tuesday morning, running through Wednesday at midnight. All the transfer portal news you can think of will be right there at your hands, and we'd love to have you to join. Rebels247.com is the website address, and y'all come see us.
Listen, Dave, we appreciate you again. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to ask you to hang on for just a second. Dale and I are going to take a break to hear from our sponsor and be back with tonight's final segment. And we'll be back right after this commercial break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. I tell you what, Dale, the old guy knows the stuff about Ole Miss, doesn't he?
He does. He loves them too. He had a son play up there, and he's been up there 15 years now, working for the Ole Miss Spirit. Now he's for 247 Sports, which I think is the same. It's the same body,
You see 247 in a lot of places.
You do. Every school's got one now.
Yeah.
It seems like. And what's 247 mean? I have no idea.
I don't know.
I always thought
it meant sports.
I thought it was always in school 246.
Hey, you can quote me. 247.
247
means sports today.
Sports today.
Yeah, you like that?
I like that.
All righty. Well, since I've come up with such a wonderful thing there that you can quote me on anytime you get ready, I'm going to give you a break, Dale.
Okay.
Because it's time to say goodbye.
Already?
Yeah, already. Time flies when you're having fun, big boy.
We just got here.
We just got here.
Goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale. We'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.